I'm Winona Ryder, and this is my life in looks. This picture was taken at one of my very early auditions. I didn't get the part, partially, I think, because of my look. A lot of people mistook me for a boy. I felt like to be an ingenue, or if I did have the look, it would have been not really me. So I was kind of oddly perfectly happy being more of a character actor. But I remember taking a trip to LA, and back then you had to sort of, if you didn't have any credits, you had to come up with like a monologue to do. And I sort of put the Salinger novella of Franny, from Franny and Zoe. I adapted it into a long monologue. Sort of obsessed with the Glass family to this day. Beetlejuice. I credit Tim and this movie with really helping sort of launch my career. I completely identified with it. They didn't have to do much to me to make me look the way that I did. I recently found a picture of me and my brother and my friend from a few months before I auditioned, and I looked very much the same as Lydia. I was super pale, and I had dyed my hair L'Oreal blue-black. I mean, they were such great lines. My whole life is a dark room, one big dark room. Obviously, the wardrobe was incredible. I hadn't seen that in any type of studio movie. I just really remember feeling surprised and just so excited and grateful to be treated as a collaborator, you know, and it meant a lot to me. Okay. Veronica Sawyer. Heathers is another one of my favorites. I think it's a masterpiece. I absolutely was in love with the script, in love with the character, the language. I mean, I was just, you don't have to pay me. I just need to say these lines. Each Heather is a different color, and they're actually very different girls, but they're part of this clique. We decided on blue for Veronica. Blue, to me, it's almost bruised, you know, and I felt like she was going through a lot of emotional, like, bruising, you know, be it from JD or the girls or her own conscience. It made the most sense, and I identified with that color. I'm also a huge Joni Mitchell fan. The term in the sort of, oh, I've got the blues. Like, I was sort of, there was a lot of different little things that I had in my head that I just kept for myself that had to do with blue. Oh, Veronica. I was returning from Edward Scissorhands. Out of frame is Tim Burton, and this was back when the paparazzi could wait literally at the gate. It was always so embarrassing because you'd have this long walk and everyone would be looking like, who are you photographing? You know, I still have this Stegosaurus briefcase, or it's like a mini suitcase, and I still use it. I do think it does capture the mood you're in when you're like greeted by paparazzi. It also reminds me of that time, which was a really nice time. This was taken at the premiere of The Commitments. Last minute, got it, you know, invited. Just literally wearing my old Doc Martens, my precious Tom Waits t-shirt that I wear all the time. Leather jacket, which I think was my mom's. I wonder if I still have it. I probably do. My dad was right out of frame. This was the brilliant Aiko Ishioka, who did these incredible costumes. It was my first experience in corsets, which was intense. Really, really helped in terms of like building the character and how you carry yourself, how women were sort of forced to carry themselves with these clothes. The great Andre Leon Talley was there. We had, these little breaks because back then we filmed with film, and when it would run out, they'd have to reload. And so you'd have about 20 minutes. And Andre was so wonderful and patient, but he'd steal us away. It was a really fun day. I really loved him. This was sort of the time where everyone was wearing those little slip dresses. I was suddenly considered attractive. I wasn't playing the weirdo. Something shifted, and I was suddenly sort of like a leading lady, which I kind of didn't see coming. But back then, you're so focused on the work that you're not really thinking about your persona. I do remember this being like, oh my, it was like on the cover of Vogue. If you had told me that a few years prior, I would have never, ever believed it. It was definitely a switch for me. The Age of Innocence, another favorite of mine. Obviously, to work with Scorsese is any actor's dream. To work with Daniel Day-Lewis is, it doesn't get better than that. There's this scene where I sort of come in and I'm taking my hat off and I embrace him. Marty had me switch the hat pin, so I'm literally, looks like I could stab him. And there's this great line, Richard E. Grant says it, where he says that my character has eyes with a lot of lashes. And I just always thought that was such a incredible line. The costumes were very important and very detailed. This was at the Academy Awards, was the first time I was nominated. I do remember sitting there. I was actually quite scared to win because I always felt like there would be a backlash, and I was young, and it was like a little bit of a stressful night, but I also was very nervous about sitting and not breaking the beads. It was just I was just trying to take care of the beads. And then, Susanna from Girl Interrupted. My gosh, I still have this shirt. This movie meant a lot to me. It was a very complex role, and it was a true story. And I very much wanted to do it justice to Susanna Kaysen, who I play. The wardrobe was very, very crucial, because it was at the end of the 60s. It was a weird time because people just were not talking about anything to do with mental illness. I wanted to sort of start some sort of dialogue about making people feel a little bit less like it's just them and that, they're crazy. This is a beautiful vintage Pauline Trigère dress. I've worn it a few times because it's so beautiful. I wore it once without the cape. It's just a stunning dress. This is Marc Jacobs. This was the time I went to the Met Gala, and I went with Mark. He put me in this beautiful velvet dress. It was a really nice night. Yeah. Okay, Joyce Byers. So the look was inspired by the movie Silkwood and Meryl Streep. There's a scene where I'm wearing like the same type of leather jacket that she wears. It's always very important to me with all of the work that I do that I'm dressing in a way that what my character can afford. On Stranger Things, I do a lot of repeats over the last 5 seasons. I'm still wearing a lot of the same stuff because, she was working 2 jobs. I grew up in a home that, it was hand-me-downs and stuff like that. I very much wanted to incorporate that into it. Okay. This is one of my favorite things I've worn. It's Dior. Gorgeous piece. It's sort of a blazer over a dress, but you can't really, it's almost incorporated into the dress. And it has these sort of almost, I don't know how to, they look like feathers, but they're material. It was just absolutely beautiful. I felt beautiful. It was comfortable. Got to wear my boots underneath. I love that. I wanted to keep her essence, but she has a kid now, and obviously her life has changed. Colleen Atwood, who's just so brilliant. I mean, a true genius, one of the best costume artists I've ever known. And I've known her since Edward Scissorhands, and she did Little Women for me. And we've worked together so many times, but she really, really helped me to keep Lydia, but also bring her more into where she is in the movie, which is struggling a bit. All right. And that is my life in looks.